Hey, what's up guys? I'm going to show you today how I use Fusion 360 to take a flat cartoon-like image or even a sports logo and turn it into an STL file that we can then print on our 3D printers. I'm not going to go crazy in depth with all the different functions that this has, so I'm assuming that you have a basic understanding of Fusion 360. Even if you don't, you might be able to follow some of my steps to at least get accomplished what I am getting accomplished, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in an image into here. It's going to be a Super Mario cartoon, and I'm going to then turn that into a file that we can print. So just follow along if you'd like to. Right here on Fusion, you have the canvas. Okay, this is where we go to import pictures. So I'm going to click on this button here, and there is insert from my computer. I will click that. I will pick my Mario picture right here with a black stroke outline. If you want to see how to convert an image like this into an image like this, I do have a different video on the channel explaining exactly how to do that. And this is what I want to work with in Fusion. Okay, so I'm going to double click this. Now it shows this plane, right? How do you want it? I like the flat back one. This gives me a top overview of it, like if it's laying down on my desktop. So this plane right here is the one that I like, between the green and the red, for any of you following. We'll click that, and this box allows us to slide it wherever we want. And these different sections here allow us to make it bigger. I like to grab this corner section and just drag to make it big. We can always adjust this once we create an STL, so it doesn't really matter if it made it too small or too big. Once you export it as an STL, you can always change that in your slicer. So I like it right here. I'm going to hit my enter key, and we've got it done. Now you can see it's kind of at an angle, but we're going to fix that. If you want to fix it now, you have this box up here with orientations in the top right, and it says top, front, right. However you want to look, the top view would be what we're after, but we're going to get a top view anyway. So we're going to go up here to create a sketch. This is where I'm going to draw my outlines that actually start to form the STL that we're going to make. So I'm going to hit create sketch. Going to hit the same plane that we dropped the image at. So click this plane. And now we're over our image. I'm holding my mouse button to kind of slide the screen around like this. That's to grab the plane and move it around. So I like to kind of get it centered, and then I'm going to zoom in just by scrolling down my mouse wheel. You scroll it up or down for in and out. I like to get close. So now we're going to get really close and personal with areas of the print that we're going to start tracing. Okay, this is how I make all of my STL files that have actually been pretty popular on Maker World for sports chains. This is pretty much my process for all of them, guys. I don't do a lot of the shortcuts. I find them to not work all the time. So this, I know I have full control over what I'm doing. So I'm going to zoom in. And before we get this one started, I might show you guys the black. The black is the outline stroke. I like to set that in the background a lot of times, but maybe the mustache, I don't want to sit in the background. Maybe I actually want this to be a higher portion. To do that, I would actually have to create a line here separating the black stroke from the black mustache, right? I would have to have the mustache be independent of this black stroke. Otherwise, they're going to be on the same layer, but we'll get into that. I'm going to start tracing probably like with the fingers, some of the smaller details. There's no rhyme or reason how I do things. Sometimes I just start somewhere. So right here, I'm going to start with the pinky. What I'm using is fit point spline. You can see this curved line here. This allows me to follow the shape. For instance, you have a line tool right here, right? The line tool is not good for curvature, right? It's obviously creating like a polygon like feature, and that is not the shape of the finger. So I'm going to double click the line. I'm going to hit delete. That gets rid of all of that. This fit point spline allows you to actually control the curvature of your line. So I'm going to click right here. And then it looks like it's going to be straight, right, guys? But as long as you're clicking this point to this point to this point, it actually starts identifying the curve that you need to follow. So I clicked my first point here. You might ask, why am I not going to the corner? The reason is I'm going to show you guys, for all of these corners, I like to have a rounded corner. And I'm going to show you why. If I hit enter here, I'm just using the line feature right now just to show you guys. This is how you blend a curve, right? So you can click it's going to connect these two lines with a small little curve just by clicking blend curve, click my first line, click my second line, and it gives you a nice curve. This curve will make it easier in the slicer when you're painting to make sure when you paint it, it paints the whole finger and you don't have to paint each side of the finger. Okay, that's why it's a trick I've learned along the way. Use the blended curve for all of your ends. So let's start this. I went back to the spline, and now I'm just going to start clicking once, click twice, and you want to find a good point where you think the curve kind of changes direction. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm like, you can see the pathing it's going to give me for my line. And when it's no longer going to fit that curve, right? So it drops off, it starts cutting my finger in half there. Nope. Pull it back where it keeps a clean line following the shape. I mean, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And if you don't get it right the first time, don't worry, you can adjust those points. So I hit enter, we can see it's creating kind of too much of a curve here. Well, no problem. I'll grab the nearest point that I had and just drag it. Look, I'm just clicking it and dragging it, and now bam, I've got it following a better curve for me. Okay, so this will do a lot of the work for you, and you just clean it up at the end. I click my spline tool again. Going to click the inside of my finger right here, and I'm just clicking the different points that I feel like the curve changes. Once again, it looks a little funky right here for me, so I grab this, drag it back, and get a good curve. I'm satisfied with this, right, guys? Nobody's going to notice these small little details in here that maybe don't align perfectly. I'm dragging, once again, clicking and dragging to my satisfaction. You do it to your satisfaction. And I'm happy, you know, I'm happy with the way this finger turned out. So now I'm going to click that blend curve to finalize this section, completing the end caps right here. Now it turned to a light shade blue. You can see that as I zoom in. That light shade blue, if I hover over it, it's showing me this is now an independent segment that I can extrude and make to a different height, right? So perfect. This is what we're looking at for all throughout our model. And we've got to do that a lot. This can be a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it's enjoyable. To me, it's therapeutic, man. So you click Fit Spline, and I do it kind of quick now that I am used to it. You guys can see I'll kind of move through this. It's simply tracing, right? If you've ever done tracing with a pencil, this is tracing with spline lines in Fusion. So you kind of get good at it, you kind of get fast at it. I've got that portion done. I will click now my blend curve and top off these two, okay? And we'll do one more finger, and then I'm going to move on to a different part, but let's do this. So once again, just following the curvature, guys. Just follow the curvature of your piece. Once again, you make a mistake like this, doesn't look that clean to me, I can just click and drag my points, and I can fix it. So click, 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 and that looks good. Now, if you're not satisfied with a line completely and you want to start over, just click the line, hit your delete button, and it's done. Now, if you accidentally deleted something, you hit Control, hold Control, and hit Z, and you will undo your last error, or you could even hit the arrows up here at the top. There's an undo and a redo feature. Go back to my fit point spline line. Click here, click here, click here, and click there. I might want to pull this one in just a little bit, and that's good. So blend curve and finish these pieces off. Look at that guy, and oh, one more piece down there. In no time, we have 3 fingers done. Now for this outer stroke, I'm going to personally trace it. I'm going to trace it all. However, you don't necessarily need to if the stroke is just following the inner piece that you created. You can use this offset feature right here. Okay, this offset feature will create a duplicate of whatever you assign it to, and it will and then you can make the size bigger or smaller. So if I hit offset and I click this piece, look at that duplicate right there, and I can tell, okay, I want that duplicate to be bigger, and I can go right there. Now, you can see it's not perfectly fitting the stroke. That is because this stroke is actually not following completely the shape of the finger. But if this is good enough for you, then you can use this. You can hit Enter, hit this next finger, make it big to follow the outside stroke, hit Enter, and you might be like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? This looks kind of funky. Well, you're going to get rid of these lines that actually shouldn't exist, right? So you want the outside shape, but you don't want these lines that are running on the inside. use this trim feature right here. This trim feature, you can cut any lines between intersects. So you can see where this piece is intersecting, where this piece is intersecting. You have this line, and it's purple right there. It means it's only going to cut the purple line. So I cut that, go over here, and I cut that, go to the top, cut the intersecting lines that you don't need. Now you've got these inside lines that look funky. Double click, hit delete, double click, hit delete, and look at that, guys. Now we have a stroke around, and you would just do that the whole way through. You would expand this and then cut out any of the pieces you don't need, creating just a stroke pattern like this. Me personally, I'm gonna create every segment myself using the tools that we just went through, because I want them to look exactly like this image. I don't want any real deviation, right? So that you can see right here, it's making this stroke bigger than our image. I am not a fan of that, so I'm going to double click, delete, and it gets rid of the stroke, and I will come back and I will outline this myself. But I wanted to go through this eye portion, right? It's going to be done the same way. We're going to just click our spline, follow the lines, right? And I can connect it for now, and I'm gonna create some separation here in a little bit between the blue and the white. So once again, you can see I'm not connecting the ends because we are gonna use the blend curve tool. I'm gonna adjust these to make sure I have them just where I like them. Okay, now we can use the blend curve tool and get all of these assigned together. Now we can see this is one solid piece, and all we have to do now is we click the blend curve, or the spline, sorry. This is hooking on, as you can see when it turns green, it is grabbing onto this line, and you want it to do that because you can create some issues if you're not connecting your line. So I'm gonna click this, and it anchored on, and now I just follow the blue, right? I just follow the blue. And even though I have it connected, I can still move this inside piece. Now you can see we have two independent pieces. It understands. That way, when I am extruding these, I can make these at two different heights so that they actually color different. If they're at the same height, guys, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing unless you're making a flat print. If you want it to be a raised print, kind of like I do my sports chains and party chains, you want these to be independent of each other. That's going to matter. So I'm going to go ahead and trace this whole design, and I will just not, maybe I'll fast forward it or skip ahead, and then we'll go ahead and show how we extrude this out of Fusion. Okay, so with these same basic tools, I'm going to go do all of that same stuff everywhere else on this print. All right, guys, so I've got this nearly all complete. Now you can see if I click my black stroke, it actually is highlighting most of black except the parts that are inside other sections. But even when you highlight, this is a good way to find out if you missed any areas. You can see right here between the hat, the head, and the arms, I missed this little section, so I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that out. So far the mustache is kept with everything else, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't like that it's connected, so I'm gonna separate the mustache too. I'll go ahead and trace out this part, and I'll show you guys how I plan to separate this mustache so that it looks a little bit different. Okay, so the mustache, since it has a shape that you can kind of identify it, but it's not complete, some of it's going to require our own imagination to finish. So like right up here, I'm just going to assume, hey, the mustache is going to end here, and it's going to come to touch the face right about there. Now you can see it will not be its own segment until we completely close it off from the rest of the black stroke. So we can see that line, but it isn't separating the mustache just yet. Right here, I would assume, hey, there's going to be like another type of puff. I guess it would be like a mustache puff right here. So I'm going to grab our spline, and I'm just going to kind of make a shape that I think works, and I will reshape it a little bit, and I say, hey, yeah, that little puff, that works for me, sure. Now I'm going to see if I can connect this line with this line to make a full-on arc. We're going to do that with our blend curve tool. If it doesn't work out fine, I'll just create my own puff, right, like we did. But I would click this line, then I would click this line, and it says, hey, that looks like it might be about the shape that you want. And I'll say, you know what, that works for now. And let's try the blend curve tool, this line to this line. And lastly, I don't know if this will work. I don't think it will right here. Nope, that looks funky. So we will just continue. We'll click here, this last point, and we'll continue on up, maybe to about there. And I could reshape it just a little bit. And look at that. Now we've got our own segment for our mustache right there, guys. It is separate from the black stroke. So if I click off of it, you can see it all looks like one big black stroke piece, but it isn't. Our mustache is separated. Now, I think I might leave the eye with the background. I think that would do fine. You know, if you want to separate the eye too and just have it as a different layer, you can do that. I think I will leave it. Now I'm going to show you guys how I kind of plan this for myself when I create these style of wall art or chain, whatever it is that you're making. It helps for me to turn off some of this noise back here. All of these little loops are constraint points, which you can turn off right over here on your sketch palette. Constraint points, I say I don't want to see those anymore, and it turned them off. And even if you want to turn off all these points while you're editing, you can do that too, turn off the points. And now we just have a solid picture with all our own segments right here, okay? So I'm going to show you guys what I plan to do with this one. So the only black piece on here that won't be at the same layer is going to be the mustache. Everything else will be at the same layer. So I typically layer my projects with a 2mm separation, right? So for this piece right here, I'm going to say this black layer will be our bottom layer. I'm going to click that black layer. I'm going to hold Control and click the inner piece of the ear, hold Control and click these three round sections on the gloves. We can see we missed the eye right there, and we can see we missed the mouth right there. So now it looks like we've got all the black sections. I'm going to hit E for extrude, and that's going to start telling you how thick that piece is going to be in your STL. So I'm going to hit extrude. Once again, these extrusion distances can be changed in your slicer to an extent, okay? To an extent. So I separate mine, you'll see. So I hit 10mm, and then I'm going to hit enter, okay? So this is a part, all of the sketch pretty much disappeared. All of my segments pretty much disappeared except that black stroke. To turn them back on, you hit your down arrow on sketches. You can see it's hidden right here, and you want to click that eye and it brings it back. Now I can see all of my segments again, okay? Okay, so now that we've got that back, if you want to see the extrusion, there's this box up here. Just click the box and you can kind of rotate and you can see, oh wow, cool. I have all of the extruded black pieces here at 10mm height, right? And if you want to turn off your canvas for now, you can go to canvas, hit drop down, click the canvas, and I can see, wow, I've just got the outline of my Mario now. That's pretty cool, but we're not done, right? But that's pretty cool. That's the start. So I'm going to click top on my box up here in the top right. I'm going to turn back on my canvas in the background, and now we have our sketch. We got to enable sketch again. So we've got our sketch on, and we've got our canvas on. Perfect. Now we remember that we already extruded these black areas. So now we're going to move on. And I think my next height that I want to deal with is probably all of the colored sections minus the M on the hat, minus the blue of the eye, and minus the mustache. Those would be at a different layer. So we went 10 for the blackout stroke. Now I'm going to go 12mm height on many of the other sections. Most of this model, I'm holding shift and I'm clicking all the parts. This is the part that you have to decide what your heights are. I typically do 10, 12, 14, or 8, 10, 12, 14. Those are the numbers I like working with. So I did 10 on the stroke. Now everything else that I'm clicking now will be everything else I'm clicking now. Okay, this is a problem right here, guys. I don't know if y'all noticed this. This is a problem. This eye, when I'm clicking it, it's actually just showing up as one piece now, where if I go over here, it's showing two pieces. This is showing one. So I'm going to have to go back in and edit that part of this sketch. That will not work. When I'm doing this, I will get rid of my previous extrusion layer. Down here, this is our timeline, and I will click my extrusion, which will be this block showing the extrude. Click it and hit delete, and I'm going to right click this project and go to edit sketch. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this. So I will click this line that's on the inside here, delete it, and I will hit spline and I will have to redo it. When that happens, sometimes it just means that you didn't actually connect the piece all the way to this line using that little green X. That's sometimes what it means. If I run into it again, we'll do something else to fix that. Now, before we move back into this, I just want to show you guys the problem if you make these the same height. This is why we don't make parts next to each other the same height. If I hit extrude, which is by hitting E on my keyboard, I hit 10, and then I click this one, hit extrude, and I hit 10. And then we look at that top layer. Sorry, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. We use this top box to look at this layering. Look at that, guys. It's all the same height. You can see there's no difference in the two layers right there. So I'm going to click both of these boxes now down here, hit delete, and we'll try that again. So I'll click my white and I'll hit 8, and I'll click my blue and I'll hit, I'll hit 10. Now you can see, guys, as we look at that there's actually a difference in that height, and that's what we're shooting for when we create these models. Okay, that's what I like to see. So let's do this all over again. I'm gonna click these two extrusion boxes, hit delete, hit the top box up here so I can see it from the top down view, and let's take our black stroke once again, grab the in of the eye, the in of the ear, the mouth, and these 3 puffs on the gloves, and we're gonna hit extrude, which is E, hit 10, hit enter. All right, our sketch didn't turn off this time, so it's good. We can still see everything. Now I'm gonna grab everything else I want, and I'm gonna make this all at 12. Once again, holding shift, clicking everything, making sure I'm only grabbing one of these connected sections because I just showed you what happens. I think we'll make these whites of the eyes, that layer. So everything we are clicking now, guys, everything I am clicking right now is going to be on layer 12, okay? So grabbing everything else I want. And this is up to you to decide your heights. You can mess with them to see which ones look best. So we grabbed all this. We still got to get this guy here. We grabbed all this, and now I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to hit 1, 2 for 12. Hit enter. Bam. We've got that extruded. Now the only parts of this model that we have not extruded yet is the red M, the blues of the eyes, and the mustache. Now, if I use this box once again to look at our extrusion, I can turn off the canvas for now. You can see it's kind of come together a little bit. I can even turn off the sketch if I want to get rid of that blue line in the background. That way I can just see this, man. I'm liking the way this is coming together. Remember, we're going to bring up that M, and we're going to bring up the blue, and we're going to bring up the mustache. Now, I think what I want is I want it to be layer 13. I think I want it to be a distance of 13 millimeters. I don't think I want it to be too high, just barely raised enough to where you can see a difference. So let's turn that back on. Let's go to our top view. Let's grab the pieces that we've got remaining, which is the M, the blues of the eyes, and the mustache. And I'm going to hit extrude, and I'm going to hit 13. I want a 1 millimeter difference between those so that it's raised just a little bit where you can tell, but it's not raised so much that it just looks funky. So let's go ahead and see how that looks when I move this piece. And you do this all to your own liking, guys. So this, I think I will like. The mustache is just raised a little bit. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it, guys, it's raised above the nose. You know what? I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna let the person I'm making this for decide what he wants. So what would make this probably look a little less funky is if you actually made the nose higher than the mustache, but that's just personal preference. Other than that, I think it's a pretty satisfactory print. I like it, so I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to show you guys now how to extrude this. So this is considered a body. Everything we just made is a body. So click the one for body, the arrow that dropped down up here, and we can see that it didn't actually connect everything, right? They've got their own bodies. To export this as one STL, we need this to all be connected. So I'm going to click the first piece of my body, And I'm gonna hold shift and I'm gonna grab all the other pieces. We've got them all highlighted blue. That's exactly what we want. And then we go up here, guys. There's a combine feature right here. It's gonna combine all these body parts into one body. So I'm gonna hit combine. It's asking you, yes, is this what you want? You want these 4 selected pieces to just be one. Hit OK. There we go. Now we've got one body, one piece. It's right there. It's lovely. I'm going to right click this one and I'm going to hit save as mesh. Let me slow that down. So right click this body now, right there, save as mesh, guys. And we'll click that. And it's saying, okay, is this the body you want? Yes, it is. Hit OK. And now you just save it as what you want. So I will call this like Super Mario Party necklace. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit save right here. It's saving it to wherever you want it to. Save it. And we will go ahead and open it. All right, guys. So you want to get your file. Go ahead and grab it. Open it up. Go ahead and launch it. And I will show you further what we're going to do to this file. All right, so we've got it opened up. We've got our file right here, and here's our little Mario, the STL file of Mario. Once again, the person I am working with wants it to just be one solid gold color. Let me get rid of some of these colors over here. We'll go down to 4. He wants it to be a solid gold color, but if you wanted to make it the real colors of, let's say, Mario, you know, you can add those right here. So I'm going to change this color to red. I'll change this color to blue. As we know, Mario's got these kind of color schemes. And this one to white. And you can click your model here. You can go to your paint tool and just start painting the parts of the hat, such as so, the part of the M. And you can paint it, you know, to match his color schemes, whatever that is, of your model. In this case, obviously, it's Mario. If you get some kind of piece like this, you know, there's different ways you can work with it. You can try the triangle tool. If that doesn't work, which it isn't going to work there, you can try the height range tool right here. There's different ways you can paint this model, but I won't go over for the full painting right now. My customer just wanted it all gold, he said. So we'll get rid of all of that painting. I'll make it kind of a gold color just so he can see what it will look like. You know, it's fun always trying to find whatever these are. So there's a gold, and that's what they wanted, right? But I'm going to size this. I'm going to go to the scale tool right here. I typically do about 200 max on the size right there. I will unclick uniform scale so that now we can change how tall this print's going to be. I'm going to make it 14 is typically what I go to. 14, 13, 14 is a good thickness for a party chain, in my opinion. So we've got this person. Now, the only difference is to add a loop. You can add whatever loops you like to use on your models. For me, what I'm going to do is on my computer, I grab one of my chains that I've made. I import it. So I just simply grab it from my folder. I pull it over Bambu, drag it. It says import geometry only. I hit OK. So there's my chain with my typical loop size. I'm going to split these objects. I'm going to get rid of, delete my old chain. And now I've just got my loop, which my loop is typically in 2 pieces like this. So I'm going to grab my loop. I'm going to right click. I'm going to hit center, and it centers it on the center of this object. Then I click the move tool up here. Click the move tool, and I'd simply just drag up on my loop. My loop, though, on this placement, I probably want it somewhere centered between the hat and the fist. So I would drag it over, drop it in, drag it over, and that might look about good to me. So if I leave it right there, we've got my loop. Of course, I'm going to have to color that gold, or I can just get rid of all the 3 other colors and it will do it for me. There we go. I've got my loop. I've got the Mario. Now I right click my build plate. I hit select all, and it's got everything on the build plate selected, and I right click the model and I hit merge, and there we go, guys. We have our gold Mario party chain as was requested. We can see everything looks cool. Once again, you can color this on your own to be the actual color of Mario. But this turned out great. I might actually color it just for the thumbnail, but I'm very satisfied with this way this turned out. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the description, man, and definitely share my video. I would greatly appreciate that. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one. See you next time.